Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Kaspa. Okay. So, listen, all right, you know me. You know I am super, super high on this project. Um, guys, if you're not familiar with Kaspa, let me just break something down for you. Okay. This coin literally pack a punched and became 10 times the coin it was just a few months ago. You don't know what I'm talking about? It was pretty much at 1 BPS, which is 1 block per second, and is scaled all the way to 10. The great thing about this coin, ladies and gentlemen, is it's not going to finish just there, right? There's a lot more that this crypto can do, right? We're talking about innovation, we're talking about exchange listings, we're talking about everything. But if we're talking about purely BPS, the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, they plan on eventually becoming 100 BPS and then eventually 250 BPS, which means people that just bought Caspa a couple months ago will eventually see Caspa become 250 times better and faster, which is crazy to think, right? And if you bought Caspa now, it will still scale 25 times more. And that's just in terms of BPS and nothing else. So for me, I am super, super high on this project, right? I do believe Caspa will get the spotlight this year. Some people are skeptical. Some people don't really believe. They don't know 100%, right? But this is one of those coins where I can put my bag in and I feel comfortable sleeping. I really, really do. This is one of those altcoins that I have a lot of faith because there's nothing to suggest that this crypto won't do well. And that is just the reality. Okay. So with that being said, let's jump into the technical analysis. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, Caspa has a very, very unique price action. Okay. We can see that overall, we kind of have been just ranging for the most part in 2024, right? We had upwards movement, then just mainly sideways for a very long time. Yes, of course, on the smaller scale, you could say, well, there was a little uptrend here, but when we look at the big picture, it has just practically been consolidating. And you know what? It did the same thing again, right? It did the same thing again, just at a lower level. For a while now, we've practically been ranging from, let's just say, 6 cents to even upwards of mm, 11 cents, right? That's been kind of the main bias, the main consistency. And we can see it, right? Some people don't like this price action, and I get it, right? If you bought Caspa in 2023 or 2024, you probably expected it, to go to the moon and then just kind of kept ranging. Very, very annoying. But when we talk about the bigger picture, you have to realize that this is actually super, super beautiful in terms of what's going to happen when it breaks out, right? Because if you guys are not familiar, this is what usually happens, right? Coins, they sell off, let's say from bear season, then they eventually go sideways for a very long time. And then that's when you start seeing those big, massive breakthroughs once the bull run starts, once the recovery start, and we are kind of at this zone right now. Now, this context is different because we didn't have necessarily a bear season, right? There was no bear season. The bear season was many years ago. But the thing is, we are in this zone, practically the accumulation zone. Because when we look at the big picture, I mean, Caspa looks like it's just been accumulating for a long time, practically ranging from 7 cents to 18 cents consistently. And look, ladies and gentlemen, right? I understand it's frustrating. It is frustrating because when you want those quick gains, this is not what you want. But in terms of the exposure it's going to get and the momentum it's going to get to the upside, once we recover and get above 11 cents, it is going to make waves. Okay. Now let's dive on the micro level. We can clearly see, like I said, we have been ranging for a couple of months. We see we did have a rejection off of this huge zone. This 11-cent zone is critical. The day we flip it is the day we'll never come back to this zone, unless, of course, possibly bear season. But then we'll have to see how far Caspa pumped, and we'll have to look at all the structure before we even consider that. Okay. Now we can see that we are selling off a little bit today, roughly what 5, 6%, maybe 8%, 7.5%, 8%. And the reason is mainly because of Bitcoin. Bitcoin unfortunately does have a very annoying gap at 114,000, roughly $500, which means I expect Bitcoin to at least be coming back down, 3 to even possibly 4.5%, which obviously means something like Kaspa is going to see a drop. Now, something like Bitcoin dominance is also at a very crucial level. Okay. We can see Bitcoin dominance as of right now. We're looking to see if we get something like this where we have a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. Because that could indicate reversals and that could indicate that we will actually be recovering all of this and altcoins will be just sleeping for a little bit longer. Okay. That is the reality. But if we do fail, right? If we do fail and we do, let's just say, even go higher a little bit, but then we create a lower high and then we continue going down, that's going to be a huge indication that altcoin season is getting closer and closer. And the huge pumps that we've all been waiting for are just around the corner. Okay. And that is the reality. So, with that being said, right, Kaspa should be pulling back just a little bit, right? Probably 10% or so, which would bring it down to roughly just below 9 cents, which is a very good zone because we can see this is also another support and resistance, right? When you really look at the details, you could debate that this is another support and resistance. So we're kind of just pinging off zones, right? Kind of just pinging off zones. We went down, we went up off this zone, we went back down to the main zone. Now we go here, we ping off this zone, and I expect us to create a higher low, right? I overall expect the main floor, which is these zones over here, to continuously rise, right? I kind of don't expect price to really drop below 8 cents. It would really surprise me. Now, technically, we could even drop as low as 7 and close above 7, and that would create a higher low, right? We would have these lows over here, this, and then technically a higher low over here, right? Even if we went like this. But I don't think we're going to get that big of a pullback. I do think, of course, we are going to get some type of pullback, but then we are going to re-attempt to finally break this 11 cents. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, look, that is ultimately it. Expect a little bit of a sell-off. On the monthly, it's still looking good. We have this low, higher low. We have this high. As of right now, we still technically have a higher high, right? Obviously, we don't want it to go too low. But we'll see how things play out. I'm still super optimistic about Caspa. I still believe this coin will do very well. And I still believe $1.50 this cycle should be getting hit very easily, which would be roughly a 15x from here. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know where you think Caspa is going to go. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.